What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Kart 6T3. My name is Ben, and have any of you ever had just one of those days? Well, one of those days was today for me. I came out here earlier, and I was trying to shoot this video, and I don't know if somebody pooped in my Cheerios. I was just not in the best of mood, and anybody who knows me, I'm pretty much always in a pretty positive, upbeat mood. I'm just in general. Don't get me wrong. I have my moments where I'm kind of down in the dumps or mad about something, but for the most part, I'd say a good 90% of the time, I'm pretty chipper. I don't know what was going on with me this morning, but I could not shoot this video, so here I am at night, the night before a video release, shooting this, hoping I can get it done for you guys tomorrow. So, I love it when the stars kind of align. I have, as I mentioned before, a whole bunch of ideas written in my notes in my phone of videos I want to shoot for you guys. And 2 people this week have actually asked questions in comments about this, about wedge body versus the flat cart bodies. And I thought, you know what? It's a perfect opportunity. If 2 people ask the same in general question, I'm like, hey, we're going to nab that out of the list and we're going to discuss that. So, although, you know, earlier when things kind of went off the rails, it got me thinking. I spent the day with my family, and I kind of got thinking about maybe how I would rather restructure this video, partly because I was kind of losing my focus halfway through a thought. I thought, you know what, if I break it up into sections, maybe I can better explain some things. I had some ideas about how I wanted to do this, and maybe pop in some pictures. I don't know. We're gonna see what we're gonna come up with here, and try and explain this topic for you guys. So let me get you situated here. Yeah, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get it. I'm gonna get a different vantage. I'm gonna try a different vantage point and try something different. So give me a second here. Okay, here we are. We are at least partially looking at a flat cart, and everybody knows the flat cart design. WKA, NKA, whatever. Maybe not NKA. Maybe that's the olden days with the wedge bodies. Anyway, WKA style body. Everybody's seen these. Now, these bodies I've seen go through changes over, you know, the past 20 years since I've been racing. So initially, when I started, they were fairly high side panels on these bodies. You know, some kind of rounded designs, this and that with the nose, but they were fairly high on the side panels. Then somewhere along the line, they started going with the swoop body. Now, you see this is a gray nose with white side pods. These are 2 different manufacturers, but, you know, pretty similar that I could match them up. This gray body actually had the swoop side panels, and I raced that for the most part last year with the KT100. I see now that they're going back to the high side panels, and I think it's because of aero. I think it's because of what effects leaning on the air is going to have for you. So when you get, you know, into the corner, you can start to lean and get on some of the air, and it helps stabilize the cart. The same thing that, you know, I'm pretty much going to show you to an extreme with the open ride. So I think the reason they've gone to these high side bodies is because of that, because you can start manipulating the air a little bit. I've even seen for a flat body extreme, some of the manufacturers start to flare up a little bit at the end. It's on the flat side, it's causing some downforce, causing you to be able to get some grip. The higher the panel is, the more you can lean on that air. And believe you me, you know, with the draft, with tracks today, how close the racing is, any advantage, whether it be aero or horsepower or anything like that, is going to make a difference. I'm wondering with the swoop bodies if there was, you know, a little better roll speed because it was getting things out of the air. That's a very real possibility. I'm not sure I quite thought about that till now, but all right. So just so we're starting from a baseline. This is a flat cart body. When I reference a flat cart body, and when we go to the open side, the wedge cart, just so everybody will know. Okay, you'll have to forgive me for this shot, or at least not the shot so much as my microphone's all the way over here. I use a lapel mic. It is not wireless, so it's attached to my phone all the way over there. So if I sound a bit hollow, I'm sorry, my fan's running, but you know, it is what it is. So this is my UAS ride. This is the wedge body that, you know, the reference would be. What is the difference between a flat cart body and a wedge body? What does all this extra body work do? It is to manipulate the air. Wings, front, rear. You don't have to run a front wing. You can use utilize the downforce of a standard nose. That's perfectly fine. Most of us run a rear wing, and that is for downforce. That is, these are airfoils, and they force the entire chassis into the ground. If anybody knows that, you know, like I do, going from racing a KT100 in a flat cart body to one of these are a handful. Not only the horsepower, but because of the amount of downforce that the wings cause, you're actually shoving the cart into the track. It makes them harder to steer. But it also gives you phenomenal grip compared to a flat cart. A flat cart kind of sits on the track. You can keep it light and fluffy. You can keep it, you know, quick through the corner type of thing. Well, you know, when I'm running an 18 horsepower KT100, that's fine and dandy. You want less resistance. You want good roll speed, stuff like that. When you're running a 250, a 270 two-stroke, when you're running a Jawa, when you're running a 450, you need the cart to be planted in the ground to get the rear tires as much bite as possible, the front tires as much bite as possible, going through the corner to make sure your nose is pointed when you get back to the throttle. So the wings are used for downforce. Now, people will say that the front wing doesn't do anything because we're not reaching the speeds that, you know, the airfoil is going to be, you know, ideal. And true. It is not ideal, but does it do something? It absolutely does. I've raced them without one. I've raced it with it. I prefer with it. It also gives me an adjustment. It's not as big of a factor as the rear wing is. But, I mean, you know, for instance, drive around town, 30 mile an hour, stick your hand out the window, move your hand. You know how it blows your hand back? Even at 30 mile an hour? Yes. The front wing does do something. Is it as much as some people think it is? I don't think so until you get onto a really big track. I had a West Snow, you know, kind of scoop nose, whatever you want to call them. It's right up there. I'm looking at it. Plus this at my big track. So you're talking about almost 80 mile an hour at Geneva, and it was too much. The front end was twitchy, and I was like, holy crap. I took the front wing off, just leaving the snow nose on there, and it was way better. I just had way too much front steer in that. Now, the rear wings, depending on what style you have, you can either have an airfoil, which is a real type of wing, or just a blade up there, maybe something with a wicker on it, maybe a back plate with a wicker on it. These all cause downforce. The airfoils, the actual wings, are super temperamental in my opinion. I've moved this thing an 1/8 of an inch. I've tipped it a little bit, and I can tell you I got tight in. I got tight in really bad to where it didn't want to steer at all. I just kept on going straight. I was like, ooh, we're not doing that anymore. So if you get a good look at this, in some of the pictures and stuff, most of us are running it pretty flat. It will cause you to get a tight condition because this is kind of up and in the air a little more. You know, the air on the nose is diverting air around. The nose is causing its own kind of downforce, and then the wing on top of that, it's dirty air up there, so it's getting manipulated a little bit. Your head's the only thing really up here. You know, so this wing is getting much more air. It is really doing a good job of forcing the rear down. So, just my opinion on that. Side panels. This is the wedge part of it. This is the wedge look. Now, I think side panels are maybe even more important than the wings are. The wings are great. They cause downforce. You can get away with, you know, like a back plate with a wicker on it, like I said. The wings are nice, but I think leaning on the air in the corner, stabilizing the corner speed is almost more important than what the wings do. It's just my opinion. I mean, I like to have them both. Don't get me wrong. If I can have both, and I do, I'm going to choose both. But the side panels, when you enter the corner, these big boards, you're able to lean on the air. And until you experience it, you're not going to think it does much. In years past, it was argued a lot, whether or not it was necessary. It might not be necessary in something like a KT100. It's because they're lower horsepower, but I think that has more to do with the downforce, with the back plate or a wing or anything like that. I think that could be argued you don't need those with a KT, but the side plates, it's just stability in the corner. It helps you lean on that air and manipulate it, making your corner more manageable, more drivable. It's just it's an extra element to me. That kind of comes at one of the questions I had to answer was, I believe the person was running a limited engine, so the smaller open, package, and I suggested maybe sideboards only, maybe wedge only, with no wing or a very little backplate. What you're going to find is that these wings, they cause so much downforce that it is drag. Now, with my Bama 250, my Bama 270, I don't care about the drag so much because I have so much horsepower, it will just push the wings through. It doesn't kill my straightaway speed. But something like, say, an 18 horsepower engine, a 25 horsepower engine, a 30 horsepower, this amount of drag is going to mean something. So when somebody is going to build a wedge body for something with a little more horsepower, in my opinion, I suggest either no backboard, a small backboard, no wicker, very minimal in here. Very minimal causing downforce. I would even suggest no front wing. Just run a normal nose. This is to maintain your roll speed as much as possible. You need your straight line speed. You're limited on your horsepower. You need that to maintain as much as possible. In my opinion, of course, you can debate me on that. That's fine. Down in the comments, if you think I'm wrong, feel free. I welcome it. Maybe I'm just not looking at it from somebody else's standpoint, but explaining it to people that don't have experience. I've driven both. I've literally driven both this year, and I can feel the difference between a flat cart and a wedge and what they do. These things are a handful. They are gripped up. You can utilize more tire prep because there's so much horsepower. You can utilize more downforce. You can utilize more side force. And they are a handful to get around the corner until you get it just in that sweet spot. And then it's just like your hands barely twitch on the wheel. You let off, go into the corner, you go wide back open, you're just like, whoo, this thing's hot. So, all right, we're going to pop back up top. And so you can maybe hear me a little better. I'm sorry I'm shouting from back here. But I kind of wanted to change the angle a little bit and see if I could get I don't know. It was worth a shot. Maybe I won't use it again. I don't know. All right, we'll see you in a second here. Okay, we are back up top, as I like to call it. And maybe now I can stop yelling. Because my microphone was so far away from me, I felt like I had to really kind of chest up and let my voice ring out, and I'm sure it's going to sound hollow and stuff. Maybe eventually. I'm not overly professional at this. I literally have told you guys this is my iPhone Pro 12 Pro sitting here, and I have a lapel mic. This is my setup. This is I'm in my barn. This is my phone. This is how I deliver videos to you. Maybe some year I'll have enough money to, actually invest in something worthwhile, a studio or something, but it kind of takes the authenticity out of it, doesn't it? So, all right, wedge body versus flat cart. I hope that footage, turned out all right. A couple things I wanted to bring up. When people have asked me in the past, about building a wedge, and I said you can use multiple materials. I happen to have carbon fiber. If you want to spend the money and you want the best of the best, I would go to C High Performance, SEAY, High HI Performance. They offer their They will make your wallet hurt a little bit, but it is high quality carbon fiber. It is the best of the best. If you want the stuff that's the lightest and the best made, C High Performance is the way I would go. Now, I'm probably eventually going to do a let's build a wedge video. That kind of popped in my head when we're doing all this video. And there are a couple materials that I would suggest building a wedge out of. I've heard, people ask about polycarbonate. I don't really like to see it used. Can it be used? Yes. Has it been used? Yes. You don't want what you're racing to break and become shards. You don't want it to hurt somebody, that type of scenario. So the things I usually suggest are things like race car plastic. Now, race car plastic is usable, and I have used it. If I find a picture of it, I'm going to drop it right here. And if I couldn't find that picture, that's going to look really weird that I did that. And that race car plastic, the problem with that is when it gets in the sun, it goes blah, 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 and it honestly, it looks like poop. It really, does it work? Yes. Does it function? Yes. Is it readily available to race shops? Yes. Does it look like poop when the sun hits it? Yes. Yes, it does. ABS plastic is a more rigid version of that, and yes, ABS will break, but it takes a bit of a beating before it'll break. ABS plastic is that it's smooth on one side and textured on the other. I've built wedges out of it for years now. It is a little bit on the heavy side, and if I have a picture of my ABS plastic body, I'm most certain I'd do that, and I'm going to drop that one right here. Okay, that stuff is a little on the heavy side. So if you're concerned about weight, you're really skating the line, or maybe you're a more robust gentleman or lady driving a US ride, and you just don't want to put any more weight on the cart, you can go with this option. This option is readily available at sign shops. It is super duper lightweight, and it will take a whooping. Now, is it the easiest to work with? No. I am talking about Coroplast. That is signboard. And I know I have a picture of it because I just saw that the other day. I was flipping through all my photos, and I'm going to put that picture right here. Now, the reason I say it's tough to work with is that when you're trying to cut an angle, everybody likes to make the wedge thing. Well, you're going to have to determine which way you want to cut with the grade. It is corrugated plastic. It's got the corrugates in it. So when you're cutting across, it goes because it's cutting across those. Well, to try and get a perfectly straight line, you're going to have to use some sort of straight edge. You're going to have to use, a nice sharp utility knife, something along those lines. If you cut it the other way, it's going to kind of jag it on you. I've tried. I would go with the corrugates, straight up and down personally. But like I said, this stuff is super durable. You can go to a sign shop where they, make signs or whatever, vinyl signs for businesses and what have you, if you have something around you. And usually you can get a 4x8 sheet for a reasonable cost, and that'll make you a wedge or two, or wedge panels, side panels, and a back plate, out of 4x8 sheet. Some aluminum L channel, some rivets, or if you want to use bolts, you can, 10 by quarter 20. Bleh. I want to say quarter 28. That's not what I meant. Quarter 20 bolts from like Harbor Freight or something like that. Drill through. Super easy to work with. Some L channel. Make a frame. Like I said, I think I'm going to do label the video like let's build a wedge and go through the process of building one of those wedges. I think I have some ABS kicking around here, and we'll make one of those one of these days. Maybe after the season, because it'll be a little, I got to get some money up for that to get the L channel and stuff. But anyway, those would be my suggestions. If you can afford it, C High Performance. There's one. Race car plastic. It works well. It cuts decent. It looks like poop in the sun. ABS plastic, a little heavier but stays straighter. A wonderful product. I like to use it for belly pans and stuff like that. Or Coroplast, aka corrugated plastic. A little harder to work with, super light, takes some abuse, easily replace, that type of stuff. So there you go, guys. That is my... I hope I didn't lose anybody with all that. Just my opinions on flat cart versus, you know, a wedge cart, the bodywork, what they do, what I'm looking at when you know, you're running one or the other. They're both exceptional. I don't really want all the downforce in my KT cart. I like that to be light and fluffy. I like it to be on the track as quick as possible, you know, great roll speed type of thing, get it out of the air type of scenario, to whereas I want the downforce, I want the side force, I want all that stuff with my UAS ride to get that horsepower into the ground and make it as fast as possible. But it is a handful, I can tell you that. Very easy to drive, not so easy to drive. So, just my opinion on that. So, if you didn't mind, if you made it this far, I guess, if you didn't mind hitting a like on the video, if you enjoyed this information and these types of videos, if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be amazing. The numbers are growing. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support, the questions. I love answering them. It gives me better ideas for, you know, next week's video, next Tuesday video, for, you know, a month from now. It gives me all these ideas of stuff that I would like to put out to you guys. And so comment down below. You know, it's great. I love the interaction. If you ever have an idea, drop it down below. I'll put it in my notes, and maybe, you know, it'll be a video that I shoot someday. So, all right, guys, I guess that's enough rambling on. I got to edit this thing. Whew. Make a thumbnail, all that good stuff. So, all right, guys, I will catch you next week in another one. Later.